Hi everyone, here is Joao Raineri for Drums Bonedo, and we are in the universe of sticks. Sounds, cymbals, grips is all I do all day, every day. But sticks and the length and the wood and the tip and everything that goes in and around of that thing that we use to get the instrument out of the drums, I also research very much. And you can see here I got a whole roster of sticks that some of them I've been trying out, some of them I actually use. In this one, most of them I rotated it and tried out for quite a long time. Some of them have been in my roster for over 10 years. Some of them are fairly new that I'm trying out. And I want to talk about like the different characteristics that one might looking for and the ones that I look for to in a stick. Now, the main element that I look for is the weight, the diameter, and the tip. I'm not so much a guy that looks into where the weight is located. So if we take, for example, this ProMark 7A active grip, most of my sticks are 7A. Then I don't know, I don't care too much where the weight is located. If it's on the back of the stick and thus making it very stringy, but therefore you have to do a little bit more work, or if it's over here where it gets you a bit more bounce. And also if you're a heavy player or a player that plays heavy music, then it might help you with projection. I don't really care that much about that. What I care about is the length, the diameter, and the tip. But that's me. And also jazz is usually, the jazz I mostly play is played on small rooms that sits maximum of like 50, 60 people. So I don't really want to be playing too loud. In fact, I look for sticks that give me the range, the spectrum of dynamics has to be very low, I mean high, but then on the lower side, on the lower dynamic side, has to be a lot deeper than perhaps other sticks allow me to. And talking about the ProMark 7A with this active grip, this is my first like black quoted sticks or quoted sticks at all. And I wanted just to see if it helped with my grip, because one of the downfalls of using 7A sticks or sticks that have a lower diameter is that sometimes I need to grip it a little bit harder. And I don't have it, and hopefully I won't have it, but I do have some people that come to me and talk about because of the gripping, they ended up developing some sort of tension or some sort of injury, long-term injury, and that's what we not want. And so I noticed that if the stick is thinner and heavier, then the gripping is greater, and that might cause a little trouble. I don't want that. So pretty much all of my sticks are lighter. And this is where we come into talking about the wood. Now, wood has a very great influence in the sound, but also in how heavy, how dense that wood is. And I do have a couple of hickory sticks because hickory is a more dense wood. But most of my sticks are maple. In the beginning, I chose maple because it gave me a deeper sound, a low-pitched sound in the sticks, and this is what I really was looking forward to. But then I realized they were also lighter. And so, it helps me with the gripping and not using too much force just to keep the stick in place. So I wanted to go over, let me say, this one, the BeBop 525 sugar maple. Now, sugar maple is a stick that Vater produces that, in my opinion, has the best sounding sticks that are available out there. However, they do tend to be weirdly balanced. And the BeBop, I find that they are okay balanced. I'm not really sure where the weight is located or where more or where less. And the tip on this one is the elongated Taj Mahal, which also gives very like deep sound. So let's use this one as comparison as for the other ones that I'll be presenting you with. So Let's take in consideration that this is a fairly worn off stick, but the tip is pretty much intact as I see it. And in the previous video, we talked about grip. For now, as a means of comparison, I'll be playing a very loose grip. So I'll not be playing this. As you can hear, the sound changes, almost like the Bill Stewart clicky thing. Just for a comparison of sound, I'll be playing the very loose Keith Kellogg grip, as I call it. So, okay, so we got the Sugar Maple Vater. We also got the 7A Sugar Maple from Vater as well. However, this is a longer stick. We talked about the diameter, we talked about the wood, we were talking about the tips, but also let's talk about the length. I tend to like sticks that are over 39.9 centimeters. So usually in other, like on VicFirth, ProMark, the normal length for a 7A is 39.9, and I find that to be too low. So for example, we got this one. This is the Stephan Emig signature model from Rohema. And as you can see, they are a tiny bit, the Rohema is a tiny bit shorter. I don't really like that. The thing is, this one sounds really good. Now, back to the Sugar Maple 7A. With the longer stick, you get more springiness, but therefore you also have to have a bit more control in your hands. And I tend to play very soft, so I don't suffer too much in the control, so like the stick going all kind of directions, or too much up and down, like too much bounce. You know what I'm saying? So let's see how this sounds. It has a more splattered sound because the ball tip is not really a ball tip, a barrel tip. And the way I imagine the sound wave going is when I hit the surface of the cymbal, then the sound doesn't go like this, almost like a sharp knife. The sound goes like this. And for recording, I really like it. Some of my favorite recordings that I've done was with the Vater 7/8 stick. Now, I don't tend to play those too much live because sometimes it gets too muddled. And we're talking again a very like soft kind of music, so every detail counts. If we go to the Rohema pair, which is shorter but stockier, the diameter is a tiny bit greater than a 7A. It gives us almost that bolero effect, but this one has a Taj Mahal tip, a true Taj Mahal, not an elongated one. Let's see how this sounds. Fairly focused, fairly like directional, not splattered as the barrel tip. Now I do want to point out, I got this Big Apple Bop 7A stick from Meinl, and I've been trying them out. It's pretty cool. This is a hard maple, which I think is like on par with the lighter Hickory. But one thing that I want to point out in this stick is the different sounds that we can get from this arrow tip. I remember there is a Vater model, a signature model from, I can't remember the name of the drummer. He played on with Christian McBride Quintet, and I really hated it the way a arrow tip sounds. But enough time has passed by and I was like, let me try this again. And I remember why I didn't like it. Check this out. Fairly okay sound, pretty deep, it's cool, but then watch what happens if I change the angle. It changed the sound completely. It goes from a very focused to a very splattered sound, and the pitch goes higher. Now, this in and itself, it's not like a bad thing, and perhaps depending on the kind of music, it won't be like that much of a difference. It's not the end of the world. I get it. However, as I was like playing around with this stick. I was like, what's going on? Why am I getting inconsistent sound? And this is the biggest thing. Like, I need to be able to rely on the stick, on the material, on the equipment that I have. And I'm sure if I spend enough time, I'll be able to use this difference in sound to my advantage. But as of now, it's so weird. I don't know. Let me play it again. Look how crazy this shit is. In contrast, we got another minor stick, the Big Apple Swing 7A, and this has a less pronounced arrow tip. It's almost like a teardrop, I guess, or maybe like a oval teardrop. And I've been experimenting with this. It's a bit more focused. What I like with this stick the most is almost it has a better grip, but maybe it's the hard maple, but also maybe it feels like a tinier bit more than a 7A. Like, it's not like in between a 5A and a 7A. Like, if the 7A is here, I think this stick like sits right over here, and then the 7A is here. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's talk about another important thing that I dislike about a stick. This is the VicFirth Freestyle 7A. And the reason why I dislike it is because the length is too great. This is almost like a spear, it feels like. I thought that because I liked sticks between like 405 millimeters or maybe like 415 millimeters, that I would like a definitely longer stick, but this is not this case. This is too much to control, too springy to control. And it doesn't help that the tip is a teardrop, but almost like a barrel-ish, and the sound gets splattered, and even more splattered because there's so much like force within the stick when I hit it. I don't know. Here's how it sounds. Also, as with the case of many VicFirth sticks, it's too heavy for me. So not only I have to, it is a 7A and it's longer and springy and everything, I also have to grip harder. And I noticed just practicing on a practice pad, I was feeling like, I don't know, this is too much gripping going on, like too much force trying to keep the stick in place. Now, here's the one that I usually practice with. This is the Anika Nylles signature stick from ProMark. It's fairly worn off, but this has a elongated teardrop tip, and I find that this sound is very deep. May not work for every recording or for every band, but on the stuff that I've been practicing and playing, I really like it. This is a 7A. It's not too long. Well, I guess it's a 7A. Maybe it sits a little bit above. But because the taper is so far up, then it still gives me a springiness that is, it is springy, but not too hard to control. I find the sound to be so focused, like it gets out of the way so nicely and so smoothly. I don't know, I only have good things to talk about this stick. The problem is I mean, I don't know what's going on with ProMark, but that shit is too expensive. I don't know what they're doing there. For the longest time, I play the 78535 from ProMark. I remember like I saw on eBay 7 pair of those, and I was like, oh my god, this is the luckiest day of my life. And I bought it, all of them, and I think I still have 2 intact pair of those, and I'm very wary, very careful not to bust them too much, but I really like this stick too. The balance is a bit forward, so I have to work a little bit more. But the sound that it gives me is just crazy. It's not as good as the Vater BeBop 525 or the Anika Nylles, but I mean, the overall stick and the whole package really increases my happiness when I play it. So. It has a little bit of splatter, which I tend not to like, but it's enough. It's like it's just on the crisp of being too much. It's not as the barrel tip, which I do use for recording because then it gets better picked up by the mics. And then the last thing I want to talk about before my producer kills me is the let me see. Oh yeah, Now, this is a rarity, and I really like this stick. I've played this one five years ago, just before the international health crisis. And then, as ProMark this, they discontinued this thing, and I hate them for this. If one day you guys out of ProMark are watching this, just please give me a call. I want to curse you guys out because I don't know why all your great sticks you discontinued them. It's just such a shame. Anyways, this is the MJZ9 American Maple. This is just the perfect bulkiness for a 7A, I guess what you can call this stick. But watch how this very tiny ball head does to the sound. Bro, it's so deep, it's so like fatty. You know how you eat a peanut piece of tuna and you get like the lean tuna and the fatty tuna? This is the fattest tuna ever. It's so, I don't know how the longevity of this stick goes because the ball tip is so small, but as long as it lasts me, I want to be playing this on recordings where like the band leaders allow me to be that deep on the pitch spectrum. Let's listen between the one that I'm playing now, recording, which is the Vater 525, and then this one. And you hear like how much of a difference in the body on the wood of the stick and how the projection goes. So here's the BeBop. Great sounding, but then I mean, this is like getting the Brian Blade sound without having to carry like a tree trunk of the Bonedo. Because I really don't like the Bonedo. I know the world loves the Bonedo, but I think it's too big, it's too thick, it's too much. And this one gives me all of that. The American Maple from Vater is a tiny bit like heavier, but it makes up on sound and the and how is the weight is distributed. So only for special gigs or recording, I'm using those. I can go on and on and on and on about sticks and the different like ratios and characteristics. Go ahead. Nylon tip. Oh yeah. All right. So back in the day, there is this video of Eric Harland playing a nylon tip. And bro, like in my college back then, that was like, oh my god, did you see Eric Harland? He's playing like, because I think he played the Manhattan 7As with the nylon tip, and it makes so much sense. And I don't get it why in the jazz community there's a bit of a prejudice against the against those sticks, because the reason why it makes sense is they last longer, and as the stick gets worn off, the tip usually don't like chip or don't chip too much, but for some reason it gets muddied. So the first thing that encounters the cymbal, it's not the actual wood, but some sort of dust or gunk or whatever it is. So you get a more like, which perhaps helps with the sound, you get a more like muddied sound. It's almost like it has a pillow before, like a very small, tiny bit of a pillow before it gets to in touch with the cymbal. It's great if you're playing loud, but if you really want to reach those very difficult, nicely pronounced low dynamic levels, you really want to have the first encounter of the stick being the actual hard part. And this is what the nylon tip allows us, because they never get worn off. It's so crazy because I can really play super soft and have that crispness. So let's see with this ProMark 7A with the nylon tip. And as a comparison, let me get my most worn off, most gunked up stick. Oh yeah. So there's a fair amount of gunking here. I'll try to play the same dynamic level so you can hear. It's okay, but Anyways, I can go on and on and on all day, every day, 24/7, talking about sticks and grips and cymbals. Before you guys ask me, what sticks do you use? It's always changing. I have a big roster and I always keep on trying out new sticks and see if I like, what I don't like, and whatever. I hope this helps you guys out, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, everybody.